Live from Los Angeles. Welcome back to Good Morning La La Land. I'm so excited to welcome Ashley Chaney to the show. She's a creator of The Unfiltered Life, keeping it transparent and cool. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. I'm so stoked to be here.
So stoked to have you.
Yes.
Absolutely. Your mission is so incredible, especially in the age of social media. We're all living behind Lightroom and Visco and these beautiful highlighted stories. And what you've created is truly authentic. Truly.
It's unfiltered.
It is, right? I took so much time thinking about a name. I started writing my book, and I'm like, what are we going to call this? It was like Detox Life and this and that. And it was just a conversation with a friend. And I was like, it's like having no filters. And then it was like a light bulb. Oh, yes.
What's the importance of that to you, the unfiltered piece?
Man, I tell you what. So I grew up dancing in a competitive company. I'm a singer. My family's been in the music industry for a long time. So it's like, you grow up when you're a competitor, when you compete, and when you're looking at yourself in the mirror, in spandex, competing against other girls, and your identity is put in what you look like and what you're able to do, right? It's hard to get out of that as you become an adult and not spend your time comparing yourself to everybody else. And so for me, it really was that comparative mindset that just sent me in. I mean, that coupled with life and the baggage that we all have, and it sent me into this mindset of like really figuring out, oh my gosh, I am completely dysfunctional in the way that I compare myself to others, or I worry, or my self-worth just goes down the toilet because somebody else has this doesn't mean that somebody else is coveting what I have too. We're all just in this vicious cycle of comparing, and I got to a point where I was like, that's enough. Like, I need to be self-aware that I'm doing that to myself, but how can I help other people realize that, just because you're not a size 0, or if your goal isn't to be a size 0, whatever your goal is, like, it doesn't matter as long as you're working at yourself and you're, transparent through the process.
Well, I read that you spend a lot of time working as a personal trainer and in fitness, right?
Yeah.
So how did you really change that mindset to really just embrace who you are, both with yourself and your clients?
Yeah.
Because if you're constantly in that profession, you're striving to be the best version of yourself, right?
Right.
So how do you accept that and still accept who you are?
Well, it definitely was a process. I don't train people anymore. And I think it was that hindsight, like hindsight's always 20/20, being able to look back and see what I was really trying to do for these people. And what it really came down to for me was trying to help people be happy with what they have. Like in what God gave them, what you have, because we all have a purpose, and it's always going to be different than somebody else's.
Earlier we were talking about the law of love, and I truly believe that all of life is, whether it's hard or good, it's all love, because all having us grow. And I think in today's world with social media, we're being challenged to find self-love more so than ever before. And,
yes.
And bless these young kids, because they are being challenged in ways that I don't know if I would have been able to handle it when I was their age. And so the unfiltered, I love that, because it's like, you can tell me anything, but tell me unfiltered, I'm like, wait a second, I don't know about that. That's a little scary. It's a little scary to put yourself out there. So for you, you're helping people. You don't train them anymore. So how do you help them become unfiltered? Like, what is that process?
Well, I've been spending the last 12 years helping people just with their health in general. So I'm as crunchy as it gets as a mom. Like, I make my own dog food, I make my own baby wipes, I make my own kombucha.
What?
Like,
Wow.
There's no chemicals in my house, natural supplementation to the max. So like, I've spent a lot of years helping people get that. So symptom alleviation, weaning off of medications, just kind of green and crunchy. And I spent all this time doing that, and then I thought I had to be that perfect version of that for people to see, like, oh, she's worth doing that. And it really was that social media, like, having realistic expectations for who you are and what your purpose is on social media. And my purpose really, I mean, it took a long time and I still battle with it daily, is to help people realize that what they've been given and who they are is worth it.
Speaking
right?
of, you have all these things. I'm a mom, a wife, a singer, a dancer, teacher, author, health enthusiast. I'm a worship leader. Tell us about that. We love to worship. Don't get me wrong. I'm a doctorate of divinity. Also, what does that mean to you?
Oh my gosh. Well, like Philip was saying, he's a little bit ADD. I completely am, and I'm all over the place. I want to do everything, and I'm like one of those people. Not being conceited, but one of those people who's pretty good at everything they do, but never really excellent at anything, because I'm so spread thin. I have like so many irons in the fire. And I was doing my own music. Like LA Music Awards, and I had my own, I say secular, like non-Christian music stuff going, and I got pregnant. There was all these goals to like write the album, finish the album while I'm pregnant, and we're gonna go on tour and all this stuff. And I had her, and I was already leading worship. On the weekends, it was like my service as part of being part of our home church. And after I had her, it was like God was just closing all of these doors in this whole other world that I had decided I wanted to be a part of, and it just started opening all these doors in the worship world. And my heart just became like, I knew my purpose was like, my voice that I was given was given to me so that I could lead people to Christ. Like that was, I just knew that. And so it was like, when you stop pursuing things that it's your intention only, and you start to pursue things that God wants you to do, what love wants you to do, what the universe, whatever it is that you focus into, then things just start to happen. And that's how I ended up on this couch, you guys.
Love this. So one of my favorite, I remember going through a period of my life, and I was like, what's God's will? What's God's will? And I was fascinated and obsessed and overwhelmed with trying to figure this answer out. And then one day, just randomly, I just thought, like, well, the only way to know God's will is to drop yours completely. And I was like, oh, right. Which is such a tough thing to do.
I know.
To get to that place. How did you get to that place where you just sort of let it all go and trusted what you felt or knew?
Really? Yeah. Do you really want to know?
Yeah.
Dude, my husband and I, my husband's the best. We are this like strong partnership, and we both have had what you call colorful childhoods. Between dysfunction and alcoholism and addiction and abandonment and all sorts of stuff. And we both got to a point 4.5 years ago where we got sober, we got into treatment, into recovery, and it wasn't really about the substance, it wasn't about the alcohol, it was about why we were searching for things to fill these voids or to numb emotions or whatever it may be. And so that journey, and then becoming a mother and seeing this beautiful, innocent being who I'm responsible for. And we're gonna give her damage, right? We're gonna give her baggage just by being people. Life is gonna give her baggage. And our goal was just not to add to that in any way, and to not, not to create that cycle, that family cycle of dysfunction that we all become victim to at some point or another. So that was kind of, Keziah, my daughter, she did it for us.
I love that. Byron Katie says, as parents, our job is to give kids problems, and as kids, your job is to solve those problems, which is so fascinating, right?
So true.
Yeah, it doesn't matter how hard you try, and something's gonna,
Well, congratulations for
Thank you.
Being on the journey, whatever that is, and
Thank you.
It's so cool, don't you think, when you have a kid to become the mom and the woman that you always wanted to be? It's so cool.
I'm constantly crying, you guys. It's like that overwhelming feeling once you figure out what you're supposed to be doing. It's
And we're really excited for Unfiltered Food, your new book.
Dude, me too. I have to finish it. I have one more chapter left, you guys.
You're so busy doing all of these things and doing them all very, very well.
Oh, thank you. I really appreciate that.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I love also that you said that basically, God or whatever you want to call it, the universe closes the doors where you're just not supposed to be going there.
Yeah.
And it opens the floodgates to where you're supposed to be there. And so often I'll try and, force my way into this, and I'm like, well, it just doesn't flow.
Yeah.
So thanks, universe, for showing me that I'm supposed to be over here.
Right.
So I don't have to ever make anyone wrong. I don't have to do anything. I just listen and allow to guide, to be guided. And so beautifully said.
Thanks,
I
guys.
love my sister has something that she says often, which is like, when you spend most of your life trying to force a door open, you spend the rest of your life trying to keep that door open. Right? So beautiful, and it's so true. So it's nice to go with the flow. How about go with the flow? Walk through those open doors.
But it's hard, and sometimes, like for me, it took a lot of tragedy and a lot of pain and a lot of struggle to get to that point. And so my prayer, my hope, and my purpose for people is for them to not have to go through this like rock bottom transformative thing in order to be able to say, hey, I love what I have, and I can get help to be a healthier version of whoever I am and what my purpose is, and to just be able to love what you have.
Well, thank you for being an incredible example of that and living your life unfiltered.
Thanks.
Where can people find you?
Unfilteredlife.net. go to that, and you can find my blog, and you can be a part of who I am. And I love to help people one-on-one, and that's still what I'm doing. So all my social media handles, though, are Ashley Krause Chaney, because instead of doing Unfiltered Life, I figured, no squeaky clean version of what I am. You're just in my life. So Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook is Ashley Krause Chaney.
Love it.
Well, thank you so much. Stay tuned. We'll be back with more Good Morning La La Land.